unique.
It's still so insane
Tonight,
to me
President Trump
what that
suggested
place
for the
looks
first
like.
time that Hamas faced a deadline to hand over the remaining deceased hostages. He wrote on Truth Social, "Let's see what they do over the next 48 hours. I'm watching this very closely." In tonight's other headlines, Melissa is now a
Oh, Trump made empty threats to Gaza. Okay.
hurricane in the northern Caribbean. The storm is rapidly intensifying, and the National
That's
Hurricane
insane.
Center warns it will become a major hurricane by tomorrow, bringing catastrophic and life-threatening flash flooding to Jamaica and Haiti. The storm is already blamed for at least 4 deaths. Landslides, heavy rain, and damaging wind are also likely in the Dominican Republic and eastern Cuba. It is not expected to make landfall in the U.S. As the government shutdown stretches into a 25th day, there are new details tonight about the anonymous donor who volunteered to pay U.S. troops. The New York Times reports Timothy Mellon is the person behind the $130 million donation. Mellon is a
Not anonymous anymore, huh?
railroad heir and major financial backer of President Trump. Despite the large gift, it amounts to about $100 for each of the country's 1.3 million service members. Early voting is underway in 2 of this year's
I'm sorry, how much?
3 million service members.
$100 each. This should get you through the month.
Early voting is underway in 2 of
That's
this year's
insane.
highest profile elections that are expected
When
to
you
measure
say
voter
$130
sentiment
million,
ahead of next year's
sounds like a
midterms.
lot of money.
In the New York City mayoral race, voters are choosing between Democrat Zohran Mamdani, Republican Curtis Sliwa, and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's running as an independent. The winner will take over from Eric Adams, who dropped out of the race last month and endorsed Cuomo this week. And in the New Jersey governor's race, the cost of living and President Trump's policies have taken center stage. Polls show Republican State Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli slightly trailing Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. And the demolition of the East Wing of the White House wrapped this week, but plans for the new ballroom that will replace
Yay,
it are
a
far from
ballroom, just what I
complete.
wanted.
Late Friday, President Trump denied
Not
reports that he
healthcare or
plans to
anything.
name the addition after himself.
That was expected. Probably going to call it the presidential ballroom or something like that. We haven't really thought about a name.
Okay.
The president also said if there were any funds
Totally
left
not
over
going
after
to
more
name
than
it after himself.
$300
Yeah.
million ballroom is complete, they could help pay for an arch being built across from the Lincoln Memorial for the nation's 250th anniversary. Still to come on PBS News Weekend, the largest crackdown on
The arch
Christians
will be named
inside
after him,
China
though.
in years. And we meet a nurse in Uganda who climbs 1,000-foot
China's
ladders
cracked down
to
on
save
Christians. Nice. Nice, yeah.
This is PBS News Weekend from the David M. Rubenstein studio at WATA
I'm sure that's a
Washington,
totally
home of the
legitimate
PBS
story.
News Hour, weeknights on.
I was going to skip this, but okay, who are these people?
9th, 10th, and 11th.
Grace Jin Drexel. Where are you from? Hold on. Grace Jin Drexel. There you are. Oh, she's been on Fox News. Okay. Yeah. Okay. My dad is in Chinese prison. He's with the Hudson Institute. That's hold on. Did it say she's okay? Hold on. Who's the other guy? Bill Drexel with the Hudson Institute. What's the Hudson Institute? The Hudson Institute. Next year we're adding 250th to this mix. I know it's gonna be fucking off the fucking chains, man. Like I really Hudson Institute. Who funds the Hudson Institute? The Hudson Institute. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's nice. Is an American right-wing think tank based on Washington, D.C. Man, fucking even PBS NewsHour does it. They bring on right-wingers that they tell you are like experts or subject matter experts on a topic, and it's just right wingers spitting out right wing garbage. Every fucking time, man. Every time. Never fails. Anyways, on to other news. Here's more serious news from CBS Saturday mornings. Exploring the science of fear. Are we scared? Are we scared yet, guys? For next year, at least, or for Halloween?
We're diving into the science of fear. We set out to find out its impact and why it may be good for us.
Ooh, spooky.
All across America, folks are staging to get scared straight.
Oh my God, bro, dude, that scared me.
A multi-million-dollar
What if you're already
business
straight? Do you get scared gay?
Long before Fright Night.
My palms sweating, my head sweating.
Mom spaghetti. Yeah. I used to work. Like, I remember there was one summer when I was like 17, 18. I worked at a haunted house. That shit sucks. It's awful. They paid you minimum wage, but you had to work for like 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. You had to work for like 2 or 3 weeks before you got your first paycheck. I quit within the first week. It just sucked. So I basically did free labor. But I did get to scare people, so that was fun. But it was free labor, so kind of hate that. I hated the experience. It sucked.
Anxiety.
I can't breathe. My heart's racing so fast.
Jim Lorenzo has owned the Blood Manor Haunted House in New York.
People love excitement.
For 20 years.
So fear is fun.
Fear is fantastic. Fear is really, really fun.
For a scaredy hat.
So we're about to start the show and see just how far I could go.
This assignment didn't require much.
I see you!
But a health tracker offered the evidence Dr. Celine Gounder needed to show how the scares affected my heart rate.
You start off with a pretty low heart rate, 60, 70.
A haunted house call, so to speak.
We see your heart rate max out at about 100. You must have had a good startle there.
Life
and then
was
it
in
comes
danger.
down, back up again, and then down as you're getting more relaxed coming out. Now, you said you closed your eyes for a lot of it. Why were you closing your eyes?
I think I was fighting the fear.
A 2019 study backs that up, finding white knucklers tried to minimize the fear by using strategies like closing their eyes, while thrill seekers sought to amplify it. In both cases, the thrill came from mastering the fear.
What is it about a good scare?
You have to master your
fears. So the idea
fears.
here is that you're testing your limits.
Stare capitalism right in the eyes.
Eliciting that fright
no,
or
sir.
flight or freeze response. And
Not
when
here.
you do that, you get this rush, this high, and then you kind of release that energy, right? So if you're stressed out, you come out of it like, right?
Exhale.
Exhale.
You get that
Yeah.
exhale. Is it good for you?
Well, it is in the sense that it's testing your limits. It can be a stress relief. And to do it in a safe way, there are dangerous ways to get that high, but this is a safe way to get the high.
Triggers to fear are easy to find. For a brief moment when the ghosts and goblins jump out at you this Halloween season, remember a little artificial fright can be the escape, offering the chance to face fear. And we now know, relieve the stress of real life.
You are a very good sport, because I would have been freaked out.
I was freaked out.
Just
I
people,
was freaked
man.
out. I need, some a little extra there. But I will tell you, I slept like a baby that night.
Because you had all that activity.
Yeah, it was like a complete exhale, and I literally went right
Are we
to
fear
bed
maxing yet?
after I got home. So, there might be something to it.
No Freddy Krueger dreams.
No, not a single one.
Oh, man, what other thrilling stories do we have here? Yeah, we already covered that. Leaf blowers. I don't know.
The unofficial
what this is.
sound of an autumn Saturday morning. The leaf blower. Now many cities and towns across America
Where'd it go?
are banning them because of the
What's going on?
Excessive noise and air pollution. But as CBS News environmental
Too scary for
correspondent
me?
David
You don't like haunted
Schechter found
houses?
out, turning down the noise is not as simple as it seems.
The serenity of a crisp fall day in the Pacific Northwest never seems to last quite long enough for Judy Walton.
They are just...
Clean Alliance in Portland, Oregon. Last year, her group convinced the city council to ban gas-powered leaf blowers, joining more than 150 other communities in the U.S. that have either banned or restricted their use.
What's that community in Houston?
Real grassroots organization, pardon the pun.
Yes, that's right. And we're not on familiar turf either.
I see what you did there.
For Walton, limiting noise, air pollution, and their impacts on public health made this a worthy cause.
People think the noise is just annoying, but it actually has real harms on the human body.
This 2019 study found that low frequencies emitted from gas-powered leaf blowers can travel over long distances, easily penetrating walls. The equipment raises concerns over adverse health impacts, such as higher blood pressure and heart rate, and poor sleep.
Leaf blowers are literally killing us.
Blower, while still loud, has less low frequency in it and does not travel nearly as far.
Starting from zero and having to change out your equipment, how complicated will that be for people?
It's not complicated.
You can have batteries.
Sean Tripp should know. His landscaping company switched to electric leaf blowers when customers began asking for the service and were willing. That's because an electric machine costs about $1,500, roughly 3 times more than gas. But he also needed industrial strength batteries and a trailer that could keep those batteries charged all day.
That shit is gonna get stolen.
Like this did you have to make?
We have currently 5 of these setups in total.
It's a big investment.
A huge investment.
And Tripp says electric blowers have less power.
Okay, we're gonna do a little test here, see which one has more power. Gas versus electric.
Gas is on the left, electric is on the right. We saw that gas had more power to push the weight of a pile of leaves. And power is something landscapers and golf course superintendents brought up during the vote.
The electric leaf blowers are not yet powerful.
Yeah, they kind of suck, the electric ones. Yeah.
Power. Technology is close, but we are not 100% apples to apples at this point.
How can you tell somebody to not use the best tool available?
Yeah.
If that best tool available has impacts on our environment, on human health, and there's an alternative available that won't break the bank, that's
why do you hate labor?
Reasonable to ask.
Portland's ban will phase in over 2 years starting in January. A change that feels like a burden for some, but will sound like progress for others. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm David Schechter in Portland, Oregon.
I get it. When I had a house, I tried the battery-powered one, didn't really work, and you just want to get it done, and you want to say, well, I'll be good for the environment here. Can I just not be as good over here? Because you want the leaves moved.
Yeah, it's good
How
for
about
the one guy with a fucking leaf blower on his back is destroying the environment. Meanwhile, fucking like Chevron and BP and fucking Conoco are extracting the earth, the oil, the fucking bloodlines of the earth, and putting them into the sky. Yeah, okay. As a guy who is that dude with the leaf blower. Who is that dude with the leaf blower? Is that a question? Or are you saying that you are the dude with the leaf blower? Screw their noise. Hey man. I think we have more concerning issues, honestly. That's my opinion. Oh, I am the dude. Oh, you're the dude with the leaf blower? Yeah, just let him work. Hey, I'd be like, hey man, you want me to clean up the street or not? Like, what do you want? How about this lady comes out here with the rake and does the job instead of just sitting on the bench and watching? Huh? Anyways, here's Marco Rubio. What's he doing? I can't hear him. Oh.
Go ahead with this in the West
Well,
Bank?
this is a vote.
You and the president, vice president have voiced opposition to annexation. Do you have the word from the Israelis that they're not going to go ahead with this in the West
Well,
Bank?
this is a vote that they took in the Knesset. From what it was explained to me, it was elements that tried to use it to embarrass Netanyahu while the vice president was here. Suffice it to say, we don't think it's going to happen. And more importantly, it's not, from a legislative standpoint, structured in a way that could happen. But it would also threaten this whole process. I mean, we understand that, right? I mean, everyone has to understand if something like that were to happen right now, if that were to happen, a lot of the countries that are involved in working on this probably aren't going to want to be involved in this anymore. It's a threat to the peace process, and everybody knows it. But I'm not getting to the middle of Israeli politics. We're focused on peace and security.
I'm not going to get into the middle of Israeli politics, he says, as he's in the middle of Israeli politics. They're talking about the vote to annex the West Bank, or parts of the occupied West Bank, which they did while J.D. Vance was there. J.D. Vance said that it was an insult to him personally. I don't. I thought I had more on this. Where is it? But yeah, where is it? Over here? Oh yeah. Did I skip to that? What is? Oh yeah. Okay. A white man insulted. Typical. Exactly. Hold on. Let's go here. Wait. Go there. There we go. Okay. Secretary of State calls for an international force to protect Gaza.
Force to ensure the ceasefire in Gaza holds.
He wants to protect Gaza, guys.
He's the latest high-ranking U.S. official to visit the region in
He just wants to protect the region. That's all.
hopes of persuading Hamas and Israel to uphold the agreement. Holly Williams is in Jerusalem.
The Secretary of State visited a new coordination center in southern Israel yesterday, where around 200 U.S. troops are monitoring the fragile ceasefire in Gaza.
There's going to be ups and downs and twists and turns. But I think we have a lot of reason for healthy optimism.
But a deadly flare-up in Gaza this past Sunday threatened to derail the truce. Many are skeptical that Hamas will ever hand over its weapons. And some in Israel are not convinced that their leader,
Why won't they
Prime
hand over
Minister
their
Benjamin
weapons, man?
Netanyahu, will stick to the ceasefire agreement.
This is a circle of trust and partnership.
Rubio's visit comes in the same week as the vice president, as well as the president's negotiators, his son-in-law Jared Kushner and special envoy Steve Witkoff. All of them pushing to move ahead with President Trump's 20-point peace plan, which imagines a safe and prosperous Gaza Strip. Food and fuel aid is now getting into Gaza. But after 2 years of bombardment by Israel, the UN estimates it'll cost over $70 billion to reconstruct. The peace plan doesn't say where that will come from, but talks about a Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza. Dr. Yahya al-Sarraj is the mayor of Gaza City and kept working throughout the war. He was appointed by Hamas, but says he has no affiliation with the group. He told CBS News that no one from the U.S. government has contacted him about the future.
To be also frank, we didn't receive first-hand information from anybody about what is going on or who will be governing what.
The president's peace plan also calls for an
He's part of the government in Gaza, but he doesn't know who Hamas is, actually. Who's the government in Gaza.
international stabilization
He's
force
saying, "Don't
to
kill me,
keep
please don't
Gaza
kill me."
secure. It's thought that Arab and other Muslim countries will contribute troops. But Vice President Vance was adamant this past week that there will be no American boots on the ground in Gaza. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Holly Williams in Jerusalem.
Very suspicious. What else? Yeah. Hold on. I gotta go here.
Be gone, beast!
I don't remember this.
Don't want your kind here!
I'm sure I saw this on TV. This aged poorly. What the fuck?
Be gone! here.
It's an incredible scene here in the Gaza. We are witnessing an attack by I'm not sure what it is, but seeing Arabs and Israelis unite to fight it may be a first, ladies and gentlemen.
Hurry, Dalsim. Be gone, beast! We don't want your kind here.
First of all, he's talking about the American, not the Brazilian. Okay, he's talking about Guile, the military guy, right? That's who he's talking about. Like I can see the confusion, honestly, and also like Blanca's just standing there, man. He's not even doing anything. He's just standing around.
It's an incredible scene here in the Gaza. We are witnessing an attack by I'm not sure.
He's literally just standing.
But seeing Arabs and Israelis unite to fight it may be a first.
And why is Vega wearing a mask? I guess he's gotta wear a mask, right? So you know who he is. But isn't he French? I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. They threw rocks at him, man. I don't know. Valid response, maybe. Anyway. It's aged poorly, yeah. I don't remember the Street Fighter cartoon. I'm gonna say that's real. Here's Trump.
Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay, we're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to kill people, I guess. I don't know. Sure. Fucking. What are we doing, man? Like we're literally like just killing people now. I guess that's just what we're gonna do. What did I save? Did I save something? Where's he at? Yeah. Go.
Government shutdowns.
Was it this one? I think it was this one.
I don't think we go declare war on them. I think we just go kill people. Just go kill people. We assume doing something with no proof, and they go be.
If only he would just drop dead.
Like, dead. You know, they go be like stiff, not moving. They go be like boom, and then they go be like they're gonna yeah. Jeffrey, cut it out.
Jeffrey, cut it out.
Hit them with the strikes. And they gonna be like, oh my God, what's that in the sky? What's that raining down? And they gonna be like, oh, that's Trump sending his wrath. And they gonna be like, we shouldn't have done this. And then boom, dead, gone. Finished. Finito. Somebody out there with a boat, sailing a little bit too close to land. Boom, bomb, drone strike, gone, demolished like the wing, like the East Wing. I don't think we go to
like the East Wing. Yeah, we're sending more ships. I
Tropical
think.
storm Melissa turns over the Caribbean. That region will soon see an increased U.S. military presence. On Friday, the Trump administration announced it's sending an aircraft carrier strike group to the waters off South America. It's an escalation in the administration's efforts to target what it says are drug traffickers. On Friday, the 10th strike against a suspected drug-running boat was carried out. CBS News senior national correspondent Charlie D'Agata has more on what this military buildup could mean.
The deployment of the Ford aircraft carrier and its escorting warships to the Caribbean is the strongest signal yet the U.S. is preparing to widen its airstrike campaign in the region. With 10 strikes on suspected drug boats already, including one that allegedly killed 6 narco-terrorists, the Trump administration has warned Venezuela and its cartels that striking land is next.
We will treat you like we have treated Al-Qaeda. We will find you, we will map your networks, we will hunt you down, and we will kill you.
The Navy's largest ship.
We have no legal fucking standing here to do this. We're gonna bomb Venezuela proper.
Talked with F-18 fighter jets, surveillance aircraft, helicopters, and 4,500 sailors. Already in the region are 8 other warships and 10,000 troops. Corey Shockey served on the National Security Council under George W. Bush.
Are they preparing for war?
The president was willing to strike the Iranian nuclear infrastructure. The president's been willing to make these strikes in both the Pacific and the Caribbean. Yeah. So I don't think we should rule it out.
President Trump has made it clear he wants Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro removed from power with a $50 million reward for information leading to his arrest. Maduro has been holding his own drills with live fire exercises and recently warned his military has 5,000 Russian-made anti-aircraft missiles ready to fire. But he appealed for a peaceful resolution.
Just peace, forever, forever, forever. Peace forever.
President Trump said Maduro has offered concessions.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States.
The Trump administration began striking alleged drug boats off the coast of Colombia, too, and introduced new sanctions on the country, including the president, Gustavo Petro, and his family, saying he allowed drug cartels to flourish and refused to stop it. For CBS Saturday
This is insane.
Charlie D'Agata, Washington.
This is literally insane. We're gonna fucking bomb Venezuela and go to war with Venezuela, dude. This is fucking crazy. Fuck are we? Oh my god. And we all know it's for oil. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, we saw the video, right? Like last week we saw the video of the Nobel Peace Prize winner that was like, "Oh yeah, Venezuela has a ton of oil, by the way." Like, yeah, like we know. We know Venezuela has a ton of oil. Like that's all it's about. That's exactly all it's about. That's so crazy, man. I don't know. Me spending $300 million on a new White House ballroom. You starving as after I cut off food stamps to millions. We just hustle different.
She said yes, sir. Oh my God, a man, but you're investor. I can turn a little bitch that's nothing to the best. Her could jet her, but that's only if it
fucking dead.
She said yes, sir.
But soon we might actually be dead. That's cool. Ballroom.
Back everyone here to live now from Fox. I'm your host Mike Page. Always world.
Fox News, finally. I got Fox News back. We're back, baby. Can this play? No?
Wide for you, continuing to bring you some of the
yeah, and then he's gonna funnel money to himself through $230 million, right? Like by like countersuing or whatever the DOJ, his own DOJ.
Biggest top stories and headlines. All right, next up, we want to talk about just moments ago, President Trump speaking to the media on a number of topics, but really the one big topic that got so much talk in D.C. this week, not on tariffs, really, not on the economy, but it was more centered on, take a look at this video. Yes, the East Wing, the demolition plans and operations continue for President Trump's ballroom that will be part of the White House, expected to be opened just before President Trump leaves the White House in 2029. The donation list came out earlier this week and shows a lot of different major tech companies participating in the donation of more than $250 million price tag. It is all privately.
How dare he tear down this former plantation house that was probably built by slaves? I haven't confirmed that.
Funded
but I'm
here,
sure it
so
probably
no
was.
cost to the taxpayer, but it has certainly caused a lot of people to talk about
No cost to the taxpayer,
demolition
just, you know,
of
the
the East
oligarchs
Wing and really about the
that
future
actually run the
of
country.
the White House. And earlier today, there was reports that President Trump was planning on naming the ballroom after himself, calling it the President Donald J. Trump Ballroom. But President Trump is pushing back along with
It's going to
new
be the
reporting
John
right now.
Barron
But let's just play out
Ballroom,
some of the
actually.
audio from President Trump just moments ago as he was leaving the White House for his Asia trip. Let's listen in.
Well,
I'm so glad we're paying for this.
Over 350 million. It's a beautiful room, a big room.
350 million. Hold on. Didn't he just say 250 million? Yeah, he said 250 million. Hold up. Where'd the other? Would be cool if he built an enormous skyscraper on top of the White House. And it just said Trump at the top. Yeah. I'm sure. Trump Taj Mahal 2.0. How do you go from 250 million to 350 million?
It's a beautiful room, a big room. 150 million. It's a lot.
Let's listen in.
Well, we raised a lot. We've raised over 350 million. It's a beautiful room, a big room.
Somebody's lying, right?
I don't have any plan to call it.
Upscaling is in his MO. That's true.
Probably going to call it the Presidential Ballroom or something like that. We haven't really thought about a name yet. Well, could even be more than that. Probably, possibly, assuming we can do that. You know, we're building the Ark, and maybe we use it for the Ark.
A big room. A big room.
Looks like we might. You know, we're going to be building the Ark, and we've
Like
raised a
Noah?
lot of money for the ballroom, so maybe we'll put the Ark is going to be incredible for Washington, D.C. So maybe we use it for the Ark.
All right, so President Trump saying that's fake news. The reporting out that was earlier coming saying that he planned to use the ballroom and put it after his name. Also reporting here saying that the ballroom update, President Trump says he has no plans to name the White House ballroom after himself, but there's no official name yet. Says it could be called Presidential Ballroom.
Is that the bunker?
Or something
I don't know.
that. So still in the very early stages right now, even in the
bunker that he was hiding in?
This ballroom, but many of the images and drafts are out. And again, we will wait and see as this construction continues out in D.C.
Let's you know what will fix the grocery cost? The ballroom. Checking in on the libs here.
President Trump's massive demolition of the East Wing is now complete.
How are they taking it?
Pictures show what the White House complex looked like just a month ago. And here's the scope of the destruction on Thursday with the East Wing of the building
God, can you imagine that?
gone. It'll be replaced with part of President Trump's 90,000 square foot ballroom, the cost of which has now ballooned to $350 million. The money's expected to come from private donors, including Comcast, the current parent company of MSNBC. As the demolition of the East Wing got underway this week, President Trump reversed
this image looks familiar to me.
Earlier this summer about the project.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it.
Almost looks like
and
something
pays
I've seen
total respect
before.
to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite. It's my favorite place. I love it. We determined that after really a tremendous amount of study with some of the best architects in the world, we determined that really knocking it down, trying to use a little section. You know, the East Wing was not much. In order to do it properly, we had to take down the existing structure.
Well, come on. This is the people's house.
Uh-oh,
There are
Capehart's so
rules, there are
mad.
procedures. And once again, everyone's been talking about how the destruction of the East Wing is a perfect metaphor for this administration, and it absolutely is. He could not.
The liberals
care
are
less
furious.
about what the
Finally about something.
East Wing means to the American people.
the
He couldn't
East
care
Wing.
less about the role of Congress. He doesn't care. He couldn't care less about the role of accountability. He is running roughshod over the country, and that right there, what we're watching right there, is just the perfect metaphor. I can't tell you how
libs love the metaphor. Yeah, they love the metaphor versus actually doing the work.
People go to the White House, they go, wait, it's so much smaller than I expected. That was the point, because our founders, as nightmarish as they were on some policies, like
the racist white supremacist slave owners,
slavery, they knew that the kind of place that they wanted the head of state to live in wanted to be more. They wanted it to be more humble. They didn't want it to be huge. They didn't want it to look like a palace. That's why it's not gold encrusted until recently, right?
I think we have bigger underlying issues in this country.
He lied about not
honestly.
destroying it. A couple months ago, when this first came out, they said they weren't going to touch the East Wing.
I just heard him say it,
and then they completely destroyed it without telling anybody. Well, the reporters just saw it happening. Also, they added how much money it was going to be, another 50% of how much it's going to be, and that money is being raised by all of these billionaires and corporations privately. Right. And apparently the president
Libs will fight over the most useless shit.
But the problem with that, and Kim
yeah,
Atkins
really.
said it better than I can. But when that is happening and it's not tax dollars, there's no accountability.
Right.
And those folks are going to want something for giving money to that house.
And that, in the course of my reporting calls yesterday, I wanted to get a sort of the preservationist archival perspective on this, and I talked with Colleen Shogan, who was
we
the
have to
former head of the
preserve
National
the
Archives, who was fired by
plantations,
Trump
man.
earlier this year, and has dedicated her life to
without the
archiving
plantation
historical
buildings,
documents.
we
And
have no history.
She said, most reasonable people might agree, okay, maybe the
sounds
construction
really
of a ballroom
bad.
isn't the craziest idea. When people go to the state dinner, they have to go to the bathroom in porta potties. Maybe they want something nicer.
Not the gowns and the porta potties.
But
no.
her issue is the way it has been done.
Yeah.
That it could have been done in a way that it would preserved the East Wing. You could have attached it in some way, had it adjacent to another structure, and that it is representative of, getting back to what Jonathan led with, of the way that we are supposed to do things in a democracy to come to a better outcome.
It would be funny to me if the company doing the deconstruction it was like Israeli.
The way legislation,
that would just
fucking
that would be
programs
perfect.
and institutions are made is to get to a better outcome.
Yeah.
As someone who has been to 3 state dinners, let me just tell you that it's not the porta potty that you see at the construction site. These are decked out, tricked out.
Jonathan is pro porta potty.
Bathrooms.
And even if they weren't, your little gown will be fine.
Your gown will be
okay.
We got to go.
Oh, fucking dude. Oh my God. Kill me. Please, just come. Like, yeah, here. I have mandatory meetings I got to attend now. Oh wait, I fucking gotta unplay. All right.
I hate remote work. I yearn for a return to the office. Sitting in traffic makes me happy. I miss spontaneous water cooler moments. My boss will be so happy to have me back. I'm ready to crush Q4 like a rock star. I crave mandatory 8 a.m. all hands meetings.
Did we just have a stroke?
Couldn't have been an email. We need butts
Supposed to have a follow-up
5
stroke
days
one
a
day.
week. How else will
Can't
the
come soon
company
enough.
justify its 5-year lease? While you lazy kids
At least
are
those
at
are
home
the-
scrolling on your phone, I'm scrolling from the comfort of my desk while my manager pings me.
Hey, you got a minute?
Hell yeah, more FaceTime with the boss. And for lunch, I get to eat a $20 salad from Sweet Green. While work from home cells spend hours taking a crap. Office Maxers thank their supervisor for timing their bathroom breaks. I am so much more productive this way. And the fast-paced company culture feeds my spirit. Who needs work from home when work is your home? This must be the place.
This must be the place.
This must be the place. This must be the place.
This must be the place. This must be the place.
I hate remote work.
Yeah, I hate remote work. The children yearn from the mines like I yearn to return to the office. What if we had AI video games? AI games are about to change everything. Turn your sound down. It's wild. Going public soon, and yep, it'll be open source and community driven. Are we ready for AI video games? this has to be fake, right? Like, what is he shooting at? Hold on. I may have played a video game or two in my lifetime. The fuck's he shooting at? Also, like, the taxi cab goes from having, like, no graphics to having graphics. And what is this? What's at the top of the taxi? Like, what are these words? This is Uptown. And this is sublore. And this is D. D's nuts. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be. Oh, it's the sub loan. Okay. It's not the subway, it's the sub loan. What language is this? This is AI slop language. What the fuck was that? What was the decision he just made? Dive into the Uptown subway, push up Broadway behind the bus, cut right, climb the fire escape. Push-ups. This is a mess. It's only like 5 seconds into the video. The bus is facing me. Okay. I'm gonna climb into the bus that's facing me. Somebody's shooting at me from the bus. Now the bus is a subway. As someone who lives in here, it's like you're on an acid trip, right? The bus is now a subway, by the way. And they're shooting into the subway. They are desperate to profit for a profitable use case. Can't wait to see it fail. Yeah. What's everybody shooting at? I can't. The bus turned into. Where the fuck? That's not how a subway works. Acid would make it better. Wait, hold on. It's the walkway. Exit. They're shooting at closed subways, yeah. But look how the subway comes in. It comes in sideways, and then it's like there. And he just throws a grenade down for no reason. Here's a drone. Drone's gone. That's the guy. That's not the way AC units look. Why was this crazy? What are these? Is this a language? Is this French? J'all's wrong. Aguadong. Hold on. This is not French. I'm just making a joke. I'm sorry. Why would you shoot the AC unit? What was that? Look, hold on, look. His body went through the pole. Look, his body went through the pole. Where'd the gate come from? The fucking... This shit's like... Look at it. Hold on. First of all, that's not how you cut it. That's like... Sparks don't come out when you cut the chain. Also, why do the doors on the van turn into sliding doors? The door on the van turns sliding door now. Door's closed, actually. What are you shooting the van for? Oh, look, it's a square manhole, and the man...
They've got a chopper on us. Find some cover now.
Why is there a chopper in the... Amazing, so real. Why is the chopper underground.
They've got a chopper on us. Find some cover now.
Yes, this project's gonna do very well. This is just like a video that somebody made with AI, right? They're like, show me Call of Duty from like 2002 if it was on the subway. The underground chopper is like, oh my god. Yeah. Anyways, what if this was real life? I guess. Here's a story.
A frightening scene following protests near Oakland.
Video, please. Hello.
Video from Thursday night showing officers firing at a U-Haul truck as it sped in reverse towards them. All playing out near a Coast Guard base. Witnesses diving for cover.
There's a U-Haul truck that was attempting to ram them. They shot at the party.
They stacked up, they drew, they threatened to shoot him if he went any further. He burned rubber right back at him.
Federal authorities say the driver was struck in the stomach and will undergo a mental health evaluation. One bystander also
okay. No medical attention needed,
but later treated
just the mental health evaluation.
DHS saying when the vehicle posed a direct threat, law enforcement officers discharged several rounds of defensive live fire.
No.
The incident following hours of protests there.
It was defensive live fire, by the way. Yeah.
It comes as President Trump called off deploying federal troops in nearby San Francisco. This as ICE operations are ending in dangerous confrontations nationwide. In Virginia, DHS says one man was killed as he tried to run away from ICE agents when he was struck by a car on the interstate. And this week in San Diego, 3 ICE agents were injured. Federal officials telling our station KNSD a man drove into them before being arrested. Today at that Coast Guard base, authorities increased...
Because every video that I've seen with ICE that involves a vehicle ramming someone is them ramming the vehicle.
Security as protesters returned and tensions remained high. Following a violent night. Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
We thank you for watching, and
That's
remember,
insane.
stay updated on breaking
Do you
news
have
and top
more on
stories
this
on the
story?
NBC News app.
No. It doesn't appear that they have more on this story, actually. What the fuck? Okay, I guess. I don't know, man. Yeah, this is what's going on right now. I don't know. Things happen and the news is like, oh wow, this happened, and then they're like, oh well, yeah, forget about that. Never mind. That's okay. We'll talk about something else. Trump's burning down the White House. Actually, Trump's burning a big cross in the White House front lawn for some reason. We don't know why. Oh, speaking of, actually, here's the Onion News Network with satire that's actually real life.
It's an issue far too many homeowners in America have faced for decades, and now a North Carolina couple is suing their appraisal company for allegedly undervaluing their home by over $300,000 just because they're black. ONN's
I have
Shannon
heard that in the
Eastman
news.
takes us beyond the facts.
It's not uncommon for a 4-bedroom home like this one to sell for over $1 million here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So when Jordan and Alicia Collins recently had their home appraised, they were shocked when it was valued at just $600,000.
I've seen these stories
for more than that, so we knew it was low.
It wasn't until we made it look a certain way that we got the correct value.
The Collins home had been authentically decorated and covered in family photos at the time of their first appraisal. But when those photos were taken down and replaced with photos of the Ku Klux Klan, they got a very different valuation.
$950,000.
Wow. Suspecting that their undervaluation was based on racial discrimination, the Collins clan-washed their home, making it look like a powerful grand wizard lived there instead.
We took down all of our family photos.
We took down all of our art.
What?
Anything that made it look like we lived there.
They even enlisted the help of a neighbor who offered to pretend to be the homeowner during the appraisal. Immediately, the value skyrocketed, and the Collins family isn't alone.
South Carolina,
Nationwide,
said, right?
the average home price of a Klansman is nearly 34% higher compared to black homeowners, and in some extreme cases, smaller homes with cross burnings in the front yard have gone for as much as $800,000 more.
I mean, it's sad, but sometimes these are just the steps you have to take.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
For the Onion News Network, I'm Shannon Eastman.
The Onion actually just reporting the actual
news. The Collins
news.
family did eventually receive the valuation they hoped for, and their original appraiser is now being punished. Not only will the appraiser be required to pay an undisclosed amount in damages, they'll also be forced to attend classes on how to discriminate without being so fucking obvious about it. Coming up next, music festival goers are in love with this new hologram. But is the projection disrespectful to Osama bin Laden's memory? You've seen the news, now touch it with your fingers. To receive your monthly print edition of The Onion, head to membership.theonion.com today. With America's finest news source, the more you pay, the better the news.
That's actually accurate, man. I don't fucking... Oh. Speaking of Klansmen, actually, these subjects, they just like roll into each other. Here's Renegade cut on Charlie Kirk. Come on, videos. Work with me. I should have rebooted my computer before I started. Loud is loud. Oh man, what do I have to do?
If you like what I do, please subscribe.
I don't know what's happening. I need to probably close.
And click the bell so that you never miss a video. Support me on Patreon, link in the description. You see injustice beaten into the skulls of protesters, activists, and wizard frogs. You think, I should call my congressman. You do, but you do not speak to your congressman. Your congressman is too busy doing whatever congressmen do when they are not on the floor of the House of Representatives, making speeches to C-SPAN. You are part of the world. You keep society going, and the powerful in check. Unable to reach the congressman directly, you speak to the office voicemail and comfort yourself that you did the right thing. This is the only thing that you are allowed to do. In the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination, millions of Americans expressed their First Amendment rights. Some Christians prayed, some conservatives mourned, at least performatively, and some comedians and goofballs made jokes. Not everyone appreciates gallows humor, but there was nothing much more offensive on social media following this death than any other. But conservatives flipped the fuck out. How dare you make jokes, they screeched. This was not, however, about decency and decorum. If they cared about that, Donald Trump would not be their one true god. The conservative reaction was about controlling the narrative. The reaction from Kirk's family and friends was undoubtedly sincere, but the reaction from most everyone else was not, salivating at the possibility of a martyr. This is not hyperbole. His supporters actually likened him to famous biblical martyrs executed for their faith. Charlie Kirk espoused social politics that were absolutely abhorrent and had a calculable negative impact on the lives of others. They're gonna scroll across the screen here because I am not repeating his horrible words. In the wake of his death, conservatives obfuscated that impact and focused solely on the fact that Kirk was presumably murdered for his beliefs without going into too many details about what those beliefs were. Quoting Charlie Kirk the day before,
invoked 9/11 to dissuade New Yorkers from voting for a Muslim for mayor of New York City. What does he think he is, Andrew Cuomo?
Before he died was something he and Turning Point USA encouraged. Quoting Charlie Kirk anytime after he died suddenly became monstrously disrespectful. Not because Turning Point USA had disavowed these beliefs, but because stating Kirk's beliefs was now contrary to the narrative. Celebrating a death may seem uncouth, but it is far more egregious to tell the maligned, the marginalized, and the abused that they are not allowed to be pleased about the loss of their abuser. that they must either pretend that this abuse did not occur and make a public declaration to that effect, or stay silent. Those are the only options. How does this control and this silencing relate to video games? A number of ways, but here is the most pathetic. Anyone who disparaged the name of Charlie Kirk came under fire, and that included video game developers. An artist was fired by Sucker Punch Studios, a subsidiary of PlayStation Studio.
You're fucking
Void
kidding
Interactive
me.
And Probably Monsters fired employees as well. These employees were not initially noticed by their employers, but rather outed by performatively angry conservatives. Submit to the narrative or perish. Oh, sorry, I said I would get through the most pathetic. That would have to be a curated list on Steam created by some loser with nothing better to do than feel like he is on the side of the angels and connected to a national news story. The list contains every developer who either made a joke or was not sufficiently deferential. This list is not only about shaming developers, but praising other developers who said nice things about Charlie Kirk. In other words, it is not only about outing jokesters, its purpose is to further the narrative of villains and heroes, with the only criteria being degrees of praise for someone who actively made marginalized people's lives worse.
Comedy is now illegal.
Only half a dozen or so people among the hundreds of thousands of people connected to the video game industry made disparaging comments about Kirk, but the list contains duplicates after duplicates, citing every game that the developer has made to give the false impression that this was more than a handful of comments. Wow, I'll never buy another game by Night Dive. They are far too talented and based. One developer escaped scrutiny, but thankfully escaped irrational consequences, was Consumer Soft Products, best known for the critically acclaimed Cruelty Squad. A fan of the tactical shooter made a custom map loosely based on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Consumer Soft Products mentioned it on social media, and much to the chagrin of the Steam curator, they did not condemn it one bit. The map is free, like all Cruelty Squad maps and mods. So let's play it. You see your congressman vote in favor of continuing the injustice, even expanding the injustice. You ask yourself, how could anyone be this unfeeling, this brutally cold? You have no answer for yourself. You perform some cursory research on the congressman. He was once a CEO or partner or something along those lines. You could never fully comprehend corporate speak, a self-defense mechanism to ignore the void and pretend it does not exist. The congressman's vote in favor of the injustice seems to align with the business interests of the corporation. A coincidence, perhaps? After all, corporations profit from all sorts of twists and turns. A congressman might sincerely believe in the righteousness of his vote. You hear about a local protest in your city. The protest is comprised of people opposed to the injustice, opposed to the congressman's vote. You decide to join the protest. This is the only thing that you are allowed to do. The Cruelty Squad map begins on a rooftop where the alleged shooter killed Charlie Kirk, right in the neck. Personally, I believe the assassin was going for a headshot and missed, but there is something disturbingly poetic about shooting a manipulative liar in the vocal cords. In the map, shooting Mr. Kirk is the easy part. The player is given the exact weapon required to get the job done with ease and haste. It's the escape that contains the challenge. In the real world, the alleged shooter was said to jump off the roof and land in relative safety before bolting off campus. In Cruelty Squad, fall damage is a big problem, and it took me several attempts before getting down without taking too much damage. After descending and only taking minimal damage, getting through the security guards and into the exit portal is the hard part. I tried racing through and got my brains blasted out every time. Unlike the real-world escape that had no other fatalities, I had to annihilate campus security to just get out of there. The panic of the onlookers in Cruelty Squad mimicked the instantaneous crowd rush in the real world, but unlike the actual assassination, these innocents are not going anywhere. They just run in circles, seemingly reveling in the chaos while freaking out like a club party in Kane and Lynch Dead Men. I eventually made my escape by sniper blasting campus security and minimizing the damage I would take on my way to the exit. Fortunately, it ends there, not subjecting me to my ex-cop father and my minister betraying me or watching the media blame my actions on transgender people. All of this might seem ghoulish, and maybe it is, but it's also completely within the standard atmosphere and overall vibe of Cruelty Squad. In the game, the player character lives in a corporate-controlled hyper-capitalist future, neon cyberpunk. The player is fired from the SEC, the real-world Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States federal government. The player is given a second chance in the private sector working for Cruelty Squad, an assassination department of a major corporation that takes out CEOs of rival corporations and anyone else that gets in the way of the bottom line. In Cruelty Squad, life is cheap, and both assassinations and resurrections are as common as coffee in the morning. Capitalism is even more unquestioned in this sci-fi future and acts with even greater impunity than it does in 2025. Although shooting Cyberpunk's CEO has a certain Robin Hood quality to it, the player character is doing this on behalf of capital, not in opposition to it. The player does not get to be a hero, the player only gets to participate in the satire. Now do you see why someone thought a custom map of a Charlie Kirk assassination fits in with the lore of Cruelty Squad? Cruelty Squad maps and mods are a trip. You won't find them on popular mod websites and apps like Nexus Mods and ModDB. Limited variety there. Cruelty Squad modding is deeper underground, difficult to manage but way more satisfying. It feels as obtuse and challenging as the game itself. So let's try some more. This custom map looks familiar.
This game.
It should.
Never even
It
heard
is
of
the
it.
assassination of the United Health CEO Brian Thompson, allegedly committed by Luigi Mangione. This custom map is easy mode because it closely resembles its real-world equivalent. Although the assassin must have expended a lot of time and energy into planning the murder, Thompson was not protected by a gaggle of bodyguards and the police were nowhere to be found. Similarly, the Thompson assassination custom map is a simple kill followed by an even simpler escape, locating the bike and clicking on it to win the level. I love Cruelty Squad, but I am legit awful at this game. I prefer the custom maps because they are sometimes just dark jokes instead of serious maps that demand tactics and patience. I'm more of a Doom head. I do love the aesthetic of Cruelty Squad. I have gone on record saying I appreciate it when a video game is painted in a video game
like Roblox
aesthetic
or something,
instead of
yeah.
trying to imitate other popular media like film and television. The only way that Cruelty Squad resembles television is that its visuals are reminiscent of the Dire Straits' Money for Nothing music video. I adore the sound design as well. When I'm spotted by future cops or businessmen, Cruelty Squad rocks my bones with pulsating, heart-destroying anti-music. You arrive at the protest 15 minutes early. Everyone is already there, ready to fight the injustice. There's the local activist group, a chapter of a national activist group, unaffiliated but concerned citizens, and the pastor of a church in this parish. You fit in well enough. The police have designated this the official and only protest zone, as if the public sidewalk is off limits to anyone marching or standing up for a cause. The difference between marching and walking is entirely in the motive, not the bodily movements. You wonder what is really being outlawed. As the protest begins, the police suddenly do not recognize the free speech zone and begin to advance. You wonder if this means that this designated area is not designed to preserve public safety, but to corral the protesters into one area so that law enforcement can arrest them more quickly. One big protest is easier to control than several medium-sized protests. The police announce that anyone still in the area will be arrested. You go home. This is the only thing that you are allowed to do. All levels in Cruelty Squad are examples of our wealth-obsessed but impoverished capitalist society. That's capitalism, folks. We want to pretend that we don't live in the world of Cruelty Squad, but the biggest difference is that we have a higher polygon count. Each level is introduced by the Handler, a human pig man who grunts in an incomprehensible language that is translated in an eye-burning color and font scheme. Cruelty Squad is user-unfriendly on purpose. In the first map after the headquarters tutorial, the handler wants the player character to visit the pharmaceutical department and assassinate an employee and his accomplice who have been embezzling from the company. Other maps take place at a shopping mall, the suburbs, anywhere that gives us that we live in a society chill down our spines. The custom maps are where it's at though. Here is a custom map about taking out the Cruelty Squad equivalent of McDonald's. I'm not going to pretend that I never eat fast food, but we have been far too lenient with these corporations. There was a hot minute almost 30 years ago when maybe the public discourse was turning against McDonald's and Burger King and the rest, but we all decided that the guy from Super Size Me sucked too much to take the larger problem seriously, as if our opinions should be dependent on the purity of the temporary face of the issue. That and enormous lobbying, of course. It's mostly the lobbying. It's not even cheap anymore, which means the only semi-legitimate defense of these restaurants does not exist in 2025. Burn down the
not even
Arby's.
fast food
I got your
anymore.
meat right here. This custom map takes place at a police academy graduation. Should we allow them to make it to the streets to become the enforcers of property laws, or should we do what comes naturally? How can this doofus Steam curator not love Cruelty Squad? Let's see if I can kill Charlie Kirk even harder now that I've downloaded some mod cheats. I'm sorry everybody, no witnesses. Look, you don't get to be Robin Hood in Cruelty Squad, but you don't necessarily get to be Robin Hood if you kill a CEO in real life either. Luigi became a folk hero, but his politics are all over the place, complicating his motives. In Cruelty Squad, when I murder a CEO or some other creep who totally deserves it, I know why I'm doing it, even if the nameless player character is only doing it for the money at the behest of the handler. I'm doing it because I love video games and because a fictional low-polygon CEO dying appeals to my anarchist politics and satiates the bloodlust and schadenfreude.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Renegade
cuts
we don't know anything about the player
at
character
the root
outside
of
of the
everything.
barely intelligible backstory amid the game's fast and loose world building. The player character's motives can be my own. You join an activist group. It is entirely above board and has a good reputation in your city and in your neighborhood. They fight for a number of related causes, including the injustice that first inspired you to call your congressman. You felt guilty that you left the protest while the activist group remained a little while longer. This may be where you belong. You hear that the mayor has instituted a curfew for your city. All the local politicians agree with this, citing public safety. Your congressman is more enthusiastic about it than the mayor because the curfew includes only part of the city but all of the suburbs. Polling suggests that being tough on crime is critical to re-election. You go to the next protest against the injustice, which threatens to become a riot. The police force the issue, firing tear gas even before the curfew begins. The local news has firmly sided with law enforcement, carefully explaining that the injustice is actually good and receives no pushback from the softball interviewer. As the curfew draws near, you go home again. This is the only thing that you are allowed to do. Everything that you are allowed to do is designed to be ineffectual in fighting injustice. If it were effective, you would not be allowed to do it.
He's talking about...
You are allowed.
I mean, this is the long way of talking about how the narrative is controlled, how we are controlled whenever we go and either protest or talk about a subject, just in general, right?
To do this. Does playing a highly political and violent video game mean I endorse political violence? No. My politics do. I don't endorse the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but not for some high-minded, make-believe moral reason. I will not honor the legacy of this man by praising him or defending him in any way. I just think that Charlie Kirk was about to become irrelevant anyway. The far right needed men like Kirk and other influencer talking head losers to help
that
mainstream
point really
their
makes it seem
arch-conservative
like
views,
you know,
help usher
it was
in
a
reactionary
sacrificial
movement
lamb
and
by
to
the Trump
poison the minds
administration,
of
right?
young people who traditionally at least begin their political journey on the left. They were so well funded. They had a job to do. But Trump is back in power. The fascist MAGA movement is now the predominant power in the Republican Party.
Exactly.
And said party is half a step away from plenary authority. Stephen
I mean, just
Miller
like
gave away the game plan.
As a primary example of that point, just look at, like, you know, Ben Shapiro's numbers, like on YouTube, like they've been dwindling ever since Trump got elected. Not only is the right wing media apparatus, podcaster bro, attention being lost, but they're not needed. Like, you don't need them if your forever king is now in office, right? So, you know, if you want to go with the conspiracy that, you know, the Trump administration or Israel or whatever did it, there's plenty of motive there.
You see, we are past the influencer stage in the rise of 21st century fascism. Charlie Kirk and his ilk moved the needle and shifted the Overton window. Yes, but their work is largely done. You think we're getting some elections soon?
Exactly.
Have you noticed how Kirk being dead has not slowed anything down? Have you also noticed how Jordan Peterson's latest health-related absence has had no effect on the power of the right? Dennis Prager has been out of commission since last year. Nothing changed.
Yeah,
The
I didn't
Daily
even
Wire
know
is
Dennis
falling
Prager had
apart,
like
and
a health
Steven Crowder
issue.
is now so radioactive that many other right-wing influencers will not work with him. Tucker Carlson has been replaced on Fox News, meaning his lower profile does not matter anymore. And Candace Owens is not allowed to enter Australia. Their work was important to the right, but their work is mostly done now. And anyone of the influencer class of any value to the Trump administration has been rebranded and promoted to formal or informal members of the regime, such as Dan Bongino and Laura Loomer, respectively. Meanwhile, Trump boosters like Joe Rogan and What's-His-Face are on record regretting their endorsements. That's not worth much. I know. But it follows the pattern of these influencers no longer being necessary as influencers. Their endorsements were what Trump needed. The Charlie Kirk WrestleMania memorial was also the funeral for the influence of influencers. Killing Charlie Kirk in Cruelty Squad has about as much positive impact on the world as killing Charlie Kirk for real. Now, Donald Trump himself dying right now might have a positive impact, and considering his health concerns, that's a real possibility. No assassin required. But someone like Ben Shapiro dying right now won't do anything to slow down fascism now that it has already taken root. If Shapiro died in 2020 of COVID, maybe. In 2025, frankly, who cares? You think this is funny? You think this is funny? You think this is funny? No, not the actual graphic image of a man dying. No, I don't find that funny. There is no visual gag. So no, footage of Charlie Kirk dying is not funny. But jokes about tragedies, up to and including Charlie Kirk dying, yes, those can be funny. It's called gallows humor, and it predates the invention of actual gallows, and maybe the wheel. So no, it's not morally wrong to be pleased when someone who abuses several communities of people is no longer able to do that, and it is not morally wrong to laugh at jokes based on a true story. There is a difference in the target of a joke, even if the subject matter and topic are the same. If you don't think so, imagine a joke at the expense of history's greatest monster, Adolf Hitler, meaning he's the butt of the joke. And now imagine a joke that denies the Holocaust. Same subject, different target, hits different. If you think both are the same or both should be off limits, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you love Hitler too much. Not everyone is going to agree with this. Your level of sensitivity and mileage may vary, but treating gallows humor as if it can never be morally justified is a superficial reading of humor. Similarly, treating the legacy of Charlie Kirk as off-limits due to his death or the way he died is deeply dishonest. Kirk believed in what he said and did, presumably, and we should be able to quote his legitimate beliefs even if we do not agree with them. Didn't he also allegedly believe in debate? I'm not going to be disingenuous and say that I'm honoring Charlie Kirk by making jokes about him, but I am saying I have reason to not feel guilty for doing it, and I'm not going to be persuaded by insincere conservatives who want to ride his corpse into totalitarian fascism or milquetoast liberals who self-suck themselves over their cherished negative peace. Spare me the pearl clutching about our catharsis doing harm. The avenues in which we are permitted to express ourselves are being shut down by the DHS and the DOJ. Sorry, I don't feel dirty shooting a pretend gun at a pretend man. I feel dirty in the presence of those who say I can't, so that they can control one more curve of my soul. Go fuck yourselves.
Well said. Never found it like in indie games like that entertaining. That's just me. Yeah, wow, what a video. Where do we go from there? Talk about the grocery stores. Here's Robert Reich in Inequality Media. Is your grocery store ripping you off?
Is your grocery store cheating you?
Imagine picking up an item on
In general, yes.
sale only to be charged full price at checkout. That's exactly what Consumer Reports says is happening at Kroger-owned stores across the country.
Kroger got caught repeatedly overcharging shoppers for items that were advertised for less. Here's an example. Allison, a mom in Ohio, bought pizzas for her family because they were supposedly on sale. She got some minced garlic. It was also on sale. But she ended up getting charged 25% extra for the pizzas and 60% extra for the garlic. Apparently the sale was over. but Kroger hadn't updated the prices on the shelves. This wasn't a fluke. This happened so many times that Allison filed a complaint with Ohio's Attorney General. And she's hardly alone. Hundreds of Kroger shoppers in at least a half dozen states have complained of deceptive pricing. Consumer Reports,
Sounds like Kroger has a labor issue, honestly.
Environmental Reporting Network launched an undercover sting to find out how widespread the problem is. For 3 months, they sent secret shoppers to 26 Kroger stores.
A labor issue they don't care about.
On over 150 different items. They found big discounts advertised on the shelves with only tiny print or store codes unclear to shoppers, revealing that the sales had ended days or even months earlier. And that's not the only way Kroger has overcharged its shoppers in recent years. Last year, Kroger executives admitted to using nationwide post-pandemic inflation as an excuse to raise its prices more than its costs were going up. Kroger reported record sales and profits in 2024, all while nickel and diming shoppers like you. Meanwhile, it paid its CEO more than $15 million, while also enriching Kroger shareholders with $7.5 billion in stock buybacks. If this makes you want to shop somewhere else, that might be harder than you think. Kroger is the second largest grocer in America, and it operates 2,700 stores under at least a dozen different brand names. If you're shopping at Harris Teeter, Fred Meyer, Fry's, Mariano's, or King Soopers, you're really just shopping at Kroger. Investigators found the same pricing problem at all of them. Similar pricing shenanigans have recently been uncovered at other major grocery chains. Both Walmart and Albertsons had to shell out millions of dollars to settle lawsuits in which they were accused of unfairly overcharging customers. Now, Kroger, Walmart, and Albertsons all insist that these pricing snafus were an honest mistake. But the pattern resembles a bait-and-switch scam, and grocery prices are already high. Even small pricing discrepancies
to me, this sounds like a labor issue. They usually have people go out there and replace those little sale signs in the mornings, like overnights on Wednesdays. It's like Wednesday morning is when the new weekly ad comes out, and they're supposed to have their stockers, like their people that go and restock the shelves, go and take all of those down and replace them with the new ones, right? Like there's like a schematic that they have. I used to work as Best Buy. I used to work at Best Buy as a child. When I was like 18. Yeah, 18 or 19. And you come in at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's when you start working. And you start, slowly replacing everything and stocking everything. Man, one time I showed up like still drunk. That was a bad time. But yeah, you have a schematic and you have things that you need to update. You have prices that you need to change. And if you don't change them, well, that's on you. If that person that's supposed to do that doesn't show up to work or doesn't exist, then that's on the company. It seems like a problem that they didn't care to fix, honestly. And a problem that's like company wide that they just don't give a shit about. Until somebody calls them out finally, and by then they've already made millions of dollars, and whatever fine they're gonna get for this is not gonna be. It's gonna be a fraction of what they've already profited from.
Time can put a strain on households
that's why they don't
that are
care.
barely scraping by. Here's the bigger problem. Together, these three corporations account for a whopping 57% of grocery sales in America. Their dominance of the grocery industry gives them an inordinate amount of pricing power. If shoppers are sneakily getting shafted at one store, it's not so easy for them to just go shop at a competitor to get a fair deal, simply because there might not be any competitors.
Yeah,
it's this new monopolistic power that lets grocery giants get away with these pricing scams. Minimal competition opens the door to maximal price gouging and maximal opportunity to rip off shoppers. This is why we need stronger antitrust enforcement to break up big corporations that dominate their industry.
That's like nationwide, dude. Tom Thumb, Safeway, Albertsons, Vons, Randall's, Fred Meyer, Food for Less. Yeah, these guys are everywhere.
We also need both state and federal regulators to crack down on these pricing abuses. You also have to be vigilant. The next time you head to the grocery store, make sure you're not getting a raw deal.
Like, if I see a deal that's like too good to be true, I'll take a picture of it. I'll take a picture of like what's right there, and I'll show it to them at the register if it doesn't ring up properly. You got to be that guy. You can't just roll over and let these people continuously just screw you over and pickpocket you right to your face. Anyway, yeah. Oh yeah, I gotta get that again.
Did you know that if you make $60,000 a year, then paying for other people's food stamps costs you about $36 a year?
But you pay $700 in corporate subsidies, which means that
poor people are the problem.
Billionaires, they're the problem. Everything that stinks is because billionaires exist. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Did you know that if you make $60,000 a year, then paying for other people's food stamps costs you about $36 a year?
But you pay $700 in corporate subsidies, which means that
poor people are the problem.
You know, if only we all knew that. What if this guy existed? The commie Muslim,
socialist,
Zoran Mamdani. What's going on here? The secret plan to tank Zoran.
Socialists don't always win. Recently in New York, though, a charismatic young socialist, supported by both DSA and working families, running on a platform of affordable housing, publicly owned grocery stores, and more mental health responders instead of cops, actually won the Democratic primary. In a firmly blue city, in a firmly blue state, that's usually the end of the story. But then, in November, India Walton lost the general election.
I do remember that.
Back in 2021, Buffalo, New York re-elected centrist Democrat Byron Brown as the mayor. After losing the primary to a DSA candidate, Buffalo's establishment freaked out. Millionaires, real estate moguls, Republican donors, all terrified by the prospect of a politician they hadn't completely bought and paid for running a major city, formed a united front basically overnight and swept Brown into office on a write-in campaign and a mountain of establishment money. Despite losing the Democratic nomination, Brown won the general. And there are a lot of reasons this upset happened. For starters, while Brown quickly got to work outspending India Walton and pretending he suddenly wasn't a Democrat after 30 years with the party, the top party brass like Chuck Schumer took their sweet time endorsing the candidate actually running on their ticket. Some, like Kathy Hochul, the governor of the state, never even did.
Wow.
There was no vote blue no matter who mass mobilizing like we see every 4 years for the presidency. The party left Walton out to dry, and that meant that even though Brown was notoriously corrupt to the point the FBI was looking into his entourage, that poverty in Buffalo was going up, and that the racial wealth and homeownership gap was one of the worst.
What is the deal with like New York Democrats and being investigated by the FBI, man? Like, what's going on over there?
First in the country after 15 years of Brown being mayor, or even just the fact that he simply filed too late and couldn't legally be on the ballot, and so he needed help from the district judge, the brother of one of his top donors. None of that ultimately mattered. Buffalo got bombarded with Brown ads and door knockers and mailers. Meanwhile, Walton's life got put under the microscope. And the best the media could come up with, by the way, was that she did $300 worth of food stamp fraud at 21, 18 years before the election, didn't show up to court one time because her summons was sent to the wrong address, and at one point posted a, frankly, really good Facebook comment.
I'm sorry, what was that?
At one point posted a, frankly,
You don't know what you were... Who's calling for anarchy, question mark. You don't know what you are talking about, tender something white man.
Really good Facebook comment. Compared to a corrupt pro-oligarchy guy making life more expensive for regular Buffalonians and doing nothing about inequality and city water being a glorified lead distribution network, come on. But the Buffalo elite wanted Brown, and Brown is what they got. On December 31st, he was sworn in and got an extra 3 years as mayor of New York's second largest city, until he resigned to be CEO of a horse betting company or something. But if it wasn't obvious already, this isn't a video about Buffalo. We're talking about Zoran. Zoran Mamdani is not running to be mayor of the second biggest city in New York. He is a candidate in the race for the biggest city in the country. The rich came for Walton's head in Buffalo, but Zoran's in the financial and cultural capital of the world. That's not gonna cut it. They're gonna need him to be obliterated.
I think unfortunately for the Democrats and like the establishment overall, their best firepower is fucking Andrew Cuomo, man. Like, literally just shooting himself in the foot repeatedly.
Before we get to the rest of the video, I want to take a quick second to do a shameless plug for our Patreon. If you're not interested,
there we go, right there.
There is, I think, a real fear among the rich and powerful that a whisper of socialist success here could be a warning shot for their way of life everywhere. Just look at them freaking out. Our goal is anybody but Mamdani. Fighting Mamdani is expensive, but allowing him to win will cost you more. This tragedy is not just a moment of mourning, it's a call to reject policies that would make our city even more vulnerable. Every single one of his plans will hurt the very people that he thinks it will help. If he's the cure to what ails the party, then cyanide is the cure for a headache.
Look, it's blatantly obvious that the field needs to narrow or Mamdani will win.
Almost like the
and I think that's a disaster for the city because we are the capital of capitalism and we need to remain that way.
Next week in New York, there's a chance that socialism could actually finally win big electorally and make daily life for some 8 million working class people actually bearable. This is exciting, but there's just this little voice in the back of my head that's scared because this story is looking just a little too similar to what we've seen before. A shock upset in the primary, a centrist with the worst track record still fighting after losing badly, top Democrats taking forever to endorse the winner or mobilize voters. Meanwhile, random dirt about petty bullshit like stolen tables and college applications makes the rounds in the media.
Stolen tables?
They are trying to run back the Walton strategy, but it's not going to work. And I think they know that, and I think that's making them more desperate. As of writing, just about every poll is showing a Zoran win. This one even shows what could happen if everyone but Sliwa, everyone but Adams, and everyone but Cuomo drops out, and in every single hypothetical, Zoran comes out on top, no matter what everyone else does. We're editing this script after Adams dropped out for real, and still Zoran is in the lead. And then there's clips like these.
I was a bit hesitant actually to take this interview because I didn't want to be seen wearing this shirt because I don't particularly support Cuomo. I don't think he's a righteous guy. I think he's a bit of a morally reprehensible person. But for me, I think, you know, even though he's a bad guy, he's paying $200 a day. And even if it is like blood money from like billionaires and super PACs and, you know, not righteous causes, a guy's gotta get money. I'm sorry.
Average American, honestly.
So who do you support instead?
Personally, I kind of stand behind Zoran Mamdani.
I don't think any poll is going to explain how cooked everyone else is better than this. Actually, you don't even need a long explanation, just these 3 seconds. I think these clips, these polls, this primary, they prove something. Zoran showed Democrats that there is a path to victory, and that path is real working class politics. From a guy that's actually invested and doesn't just talk about vague stuff like rising together.
So let's rise together.
Right
Like
after
bread?
Trump's victory, Zoran showed us that he's ready to give average people real consideration and power. Going to
Oh,
places
fucking
in New
yeast.
York that flipped red. He didn't stick to some consultant's script. He didn't appeal to vague positivity. He gave people the mic to talk about the stuff that actually matters to them. Rent, groceries, childcare, Gaza. But he didn't stop there. Instead of carrying a message of hope without substance, like so many Democrats do, Zoran's policies actually materially address people's problems. Childcare is expensive. Rent is too high.
No
Immigrant
cost
and LGBT
childcare.
rights are being stripped
How you
away.
gonna pay for it?
Here are the solutions. Easy to find, easier to understand, and all under a simple
think about that?
slogan. New York is too expensive. Zoran will fix that. With over 50,000 volunteers, 1.6 million doors knocked, and more votes than any other primary candidate ever, all this, it works. But for all that positivity, that voice in my head is still there because I sort of skipped over the biggest parallel with Buffalo. It's not the lack of party endorsements or the hit pieces that killed Walton's bid. The key to Brown's victory was the money. In just 4 months, Brown went from not really running a campaign to raising $850,000, mostly from the rich and powerful. And when the general election came around, his sudden vote boost didn't come from working class neighborhoods, it came from the rich. And in New York, the anti-Zoran money isn't what's missing. It's coming from the same crowd we saw in Buffalo. Democratic cowards, Republican staples, and most predictably, the ultra-wealthy. Sometimes all at once. But the scale is just different. If $850,000 in 4 months in Buffalo sounds insane, New York's a whole different ballgame. You might have already seen the campaign finance statistics. Cuomo got about $5.3 million in donations, Adams nearly $7 million, and Mamdani almost $4 million. Big gaps and huge sums of money, but public matching has sort of evened things out. The difference, though, is that Zoran's campaign got to almost $4 million with 54,000 people donating. The other two can't even get to 10,000 donations.
What?
Their average contribution is in the hundreds of dollars and 10 times more than Mamdani's, meaning it's coming from people with a lot more money to spend.
That's crazy,
But that's
man.
not the freakout money. The freakout money isn't out in the open like this. It's in the new super
the
PACs
super
that keep
PACs.
popping up as the rich scramble for ways to shoot Mamdani down.
They just created a new
You probably
super
know this
PAC and
already,
fund the
but
fuck out
super
of it.
PACs are groups that can legally spend unlimited amounts of money on elections as long as they're not making direct contributions to a candidate and they aren't explicitly coordinating with the campaign.
Super PACs are a disaster. They're a scam. They cause dishonesty.
Who's that guy?
And you better get rid of them.
The reason super PACs can spend unlimited money is because they can get unlimited money in donations, including from completely anonymous donors like 501c4s and 501c6s, what you might have heard called dark money nonprofits. These amounts aren't limited the way campaign donations are, with caps on individual donations and spending, which is why when you look at what a candidate gets, you see a lot of $2,100 donations. But when you look at what their super PAC gets, suddenly it's a wall of multi-million-dollar receipts. And that's a different scale. For the primary alone, for example, Cuomo spent $22 million through his super PAC, Fix the City. This is an insane amount of money to have spent.
$22 million to run
but
for mayor?
He's not done, and they're up to $27 million as of writing. Just to give you an idea, in the 2021 election, the most a super PAC had spent on the primary was $6.5 million.
That's
Already you have an
insane.
idea of just how scared the rich are. The thing is, Fix the City is just one player in a sea of new PACs that are all attacking from different angles and courting the same donors. Take a random one. This guy, Jeffrey Gurl, a real estate investor. If you look at his donation record, you can see he gave Cuomo like a couple $100. Nothing crazy. That is, until you look at his donations to super PACs. This one guy gave $25,000 to Cuomo's PAC in the spring, and then another $25,000 to Adams in the fall. That's just one guy, and $25,000 is nothing. Cuomo got like $8 million from Michael Bloomberg alone, another $1 million from
What?
DoorDash, and then just pages of $500K to $50K, $100K donations. Let's zoom back out. Right now, there's at least 7 big super PACs on the anti-Mamdani train. For Cuomo, we've mentioned them already. You have Fix the City, but also Local Economies Forward NY, which is basically just DoorDash's separate PAC, and Housing for All, a super PAC that's just for landlords. Before he dropped out, Adams had Empower NYC and Protect the Protectors. Both of them are expected to have raised millions. Empower specifically has said they're hoping
landlord
for
super
15.
PAC.
And then on top of that, there's the general anti-Zoran super PACs not affiliated with a single candidate, like Affordable New York, which is Airbnb's super PAC, and New Yorkers for a Better Future, who said they'll spend an extra $20 million against Zoran and are already raking in $500,000 donation pledges. I'm explaining campaign donations to Americans right now, and literally the rich guy is called Mr. Burger. I want to kill myself. But don't worry, hey, Mamdani has his own super PACs too. One has yet to report
I know how to fight
any
capitalism
funds,
with
and the other has
capitalism.
gotten a whole 700K since the primary. Not rigged at all. It's bad, but at the end of the day, I don't actually think that all this anti-Zoran money is going to be enough. He's popular. His policies are popular, and that shouldn't be surprising. The most popular politicians in the country
He's
are
a likable
socialists.
candidate.
I don't think he's got this in the bag, but it's not like this money's doing much. And that is scary in a different way. If Cuomo loses at the polls, after the rich threw everything they could at the wall, he could go for the nuclear option.
Zorhan Mandami, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zorhan Mandami?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be
That's
watching
insane.
over it carefully
That's just
on
insane.
behalf of the nation.
All semblance of democracy is gone anyway. Trump said he'd get involved in the race if it looks like Mamdani will win. He's already threatened to arrest, deport, and denaturalize him. He wanted Cuomo or Adams. Either. I don't think he cares. They're both getting money from his donors anyway. He personally stepped in to get Adams cleared of federal corruption charges and is taking calls with Cuomo, who he's had a long-standing relationship with for decades.
That's
They're tight.
weird. I thought Cuomo
While
was a
neither of them
Democrat.
wanted his endorsement in a city of Democrats, they both get that this is a transactional relationship. They're representing the people scared of Zoran and telling Trump what he wants to hear to get rid of him. That they want to work together, and they wouldn't really get in the way of ICE taking over the city. They're not saying that to us, of course. Voters are getting a centrist-friendly message, that Trump is going just a little too far. But at business meetings and in these private calls, they're making sure that Trump knows they won't put up a fight. With Adams gone, Cuomo is playing his part in the fascist takeover. Capitalists want to stay in power. They're spending like their life depends on it. And until recently, they had 2 guys willing to let Trump run wild on a city of 3 million immigrants. That doesn't matter to them. It just means they keep their taxes low and city rents up. And look, I don't know how this election will go, and I don't know if Zoran's going to be able to get all this great stuff, all these things that he's promised, done if he wins. I do know that there's still a strong candidate for head fascist lackey in the race. A guy who is more than ready to make New York yet another hellscape for immigrants, for working class people, and for everyone else whose rights are being stripped away. A guy cozying up to landlords and Wall Street and Trump, and ready to completely fold while more and more people are thrown in the back of a van and shipped off to some black site on the other side of the world. This is cheesy, but if you live in New York and you haven't voted early, make sure you get out there. Winning the primary was a great symbolic victory, but we are tired of settling for that. It's time for socialists to get shit done.
You know, well, the one thing I will say about that is every 4 to 5 years, capitalism requires socialism to bail it out. Is this that event happening? That's the question that I have. All right. Let's talk about Sudan. Why the war in Sudan is so underreported. I would like to know, actually.
We begin with an apocalyptic story that gets nowhere near the news coverage it deserves. The civil war in Sudan, the atrocious effect on civilians there, children, and the foreign players out for themselves that are part of the mix. The West Bank, Israeli settlers on the rampage, and the American journalist who saw it all, captured it on camera.
Yeah,
Plus,
I need to see that too.
we know how they report at home, but have you seen what these Indian journalists get up to when they go to work outside of the country?
What?
With repeated ceasefire violations in Gaza and efforts underway there to prevent a return to a full-scale war, we're turning our attention to another catastrophic story.
I was thinking this week about how little I know about Sudan. Yeah, me too. And I'm very glad, I'm very pleased that the Listening Post is, lending the time and space to this topic.
Sudan. The country has been at war since April of 2023, when fighting erupted between the Sudanese armed forces, the SAF, once the army of the former dictator Omar al-Bashir, and the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, a militia group with a long history of atrocities in Darfur that now wants power for itself. This has been a brutal war. The massacres, the deliberate starvation, sexual abuse, millions of people uprooted. But unlike Gaza, Sudan's story struggles to make it into the headlines. Right now, the RSF is laying siege to the city of El Fasher in northern Darfur. Food has all but run out there, so has medicine, all while foreign-made bombs and shells fall from the sky. The scale of the suffering, the brutality on civilians and countless children is unimaginable. And yet many global media outlets, for various reasons, keep looking the other way. This is a story that, even when taking Gaza into account, is about the biggest humanitarian crisis on the planet, by far. Where 13 million Sudanese people have been displaced, up to 150,000 killed. Where the city of El Fasher in Darfur has been under siege for more than 500 days. Where, because of the dangers on the ground, the reporting often resorts to imagery that comes from space, via satellites that provide glimpses of the scale of the destruction, but not the suffering.
What the fuck?
A conflict where the warring factions are known through their acronyms, the SAF versus the RSF, and where the coverage is frequently MIA, missing in action, because of all the things that journalists are up against, and the lack of attention of the international media.
الأزمة في الفاشر رغم أنها كارثية.
The crisis in El Fasher, with its terrifying numbers of deaths and crimes, amounts to a genocide. But it's not received the necessary media attention for many reasons. The city is under siege, making it hard for the media to reach it. Journalists there face catastrophic conditions.
There are two elements that prevent this news of coming out. One of them is a blackout of the internet. There is a campaign against information coming out. There are scores of journalists that have been killed, not only in El Fasher, but throughout the country.
Then you have the international factors, the influential foreign powers that have vested interests in keeping El Fasher's crisis in the dark.
El Fasher is the last stronghold that the SAF has in the province of Darfur. The militia group enforcing the siege, the RSF, comes from that same region. It grew out of another militia, the Janjaweed, the so-called devils on horseback who terrorized Darfur in the early 2000s. Once this war broke out in 2023, the RSF seized much of the capital, Khartoum. After losing that ground earlier this year, it turned west, back home, to consolidate its power in Darfur. Now it is bombing El Fasher mercilessly in a siege that has prevented food and aid from reaching the people there. One aid organization says that over a recent 2-week period, 327 children were killed in RSF artillery attacks. Another 171 children died of starvation. Anyone trying to flee the city or to smuggle aid in risks running into RSF fighters who carry out horrific war crimes, lynchings, torture, executions, often filmed and shared online. Videos intended for audiences both domestic and international, posted by militiamen who don't even bother to hide their faces.
There was one video, the woman lynched and hung from a tree by an RSF soldier who showed his face to the camera. This really demonstrates the impunity, but also how we got here. Is that effectively they can get away with murder. And the RSF is trying to speak to the international community to say effectively, we are the power and we will do what we want.
The Rapid Support Forces know full well that they don't have the legitimacy in the territories that they seek to control.
That's fucking crazy.
They enact severe forms of violence and disseminate these messages throughout Sudan to really send a signal that if people do not comply with their control, what they see is going to happen to them. Legitimacy then is derived through extreme forms of performative violence.
The fighting is taking place between army units loyal to the two generals.
At the start of this conflict, it was routinely framed by international journalists as a war between two generals, the RSF's Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo and the SAF's Abdel Fattah al-Burhan.
A dangerous power struggle between two Sudanese generals.
That framing had elements of truth to it, but it was misleading. This is not just a power struggle between men in uniform. It is partially fueled by foreign interests and global supply chains. Take the Chinese-made drones now bombarding Darfur, weapons the RSF reportedly receives through the United Arab Emirates. The UAE's ties to Sudan go back decades, but when the country's longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir was ousted in 2019, the UAE formed an alliance with the RSF to ensure the continued flow of a commodity that Sudan has plenty of: gold.
This is a very complex war involving gold, ports, economic interests, and rivalries between major countries in a strategically important region.
There's always some mineral
It's part
or
of the
some
struggle over natural gas and mineral resources. It's also part of the struggle over the Red Sea between
resource
China
that
and the
everybody's
United
after.
States. So
The people
describing the
just have to
conflict as
die.
a fight between two generals is a misleading and simplistic characterization.
The UAE, of course, denies arming the RSF. It denies any role that it doesn't frame as humanitarian on Sudan. But we know that it has a stake in the Red Sea and the commercial traffic that goes through there. Sudan is Africa's third largest producer of gold and has been sort of propping up the Dubai gold markets. And we know that the UAE sees Sudan, which has very fertile, flat lands, as a very important part of its food resources, not just now, but in the future.
From the very first week of this war, mainstream media outlets in Sudan started to disappear. Most were based in Khartoum, where the fighting was initially centered. Multiple news organizations were taken out, their buildings destroyed.
Fuck?
Of the journalists who tried to stay on the story, more than 30 of them have been killed, many of them targeted. That has left Sudanese civilians increasingly reliant on international news outlets operating in English or Arabic. The problem? There isn't enough coverage coming from the outside, and the Sudanese cannot even get access to what does get reported in a war zone where both sides have imposed sustained internet blackouts to suppress the news from getting out.
So to get independent media right now in Sudan is very, very difficult. A lot of the news that is taken seriously in Sudan is international media.
We've just crossed into North Darfur, a place that's been virtually impenetrable to journalists over the last 2 years of war in Sudan.
And this is what makes the dearth of international coverage of Sudan so worrying.
I've seen that reporter before.
Has been on a rare trip to Sudan's capital, Khartoum.
We need to see much more resources being put into Sudan, into bringing reporters into the country, but also using the reporters available in the country, both in English and Arabic. What we need to see more of, and what a lot of people have been calling for, is greater sustained attention on Sudan.
The same reasons, motivations that lead journalists to risk their lives elsewhere are the same ethics that Sudanese journalists have, despite all that they're up against, despite the blackouts in the internet that are done on purpose, despite the drone attacks that oftentimes target them specifically, despite the summary detentions, executions that occur, despite the fact that female journalists are targeted disproportionately now. So the international community and journalists worldwide need to know that that continues.
The absence of internet, electricity, and professional journalism has turned Sudan's war into an arena of disinformation, where false or misleading news dominates the media landscape. The absence of on-the-ground journalism gives the warring parties cover to commit further massacres. These are not just numbers. These are families, human beings. I wish these numbers were humanized to reflect the horror of what Sudanese people are facing. There is immense suffering that's not getting the media attention it deserves.
Yeah, I wonder why.
To the occupied West Bank now, where this past week an American journalist, Jasper...
It's the same strategy that they're doing, that they've done in Gaza, right? You know, kill journalists so things don't get reported. And it's always, you know, Western interests that are involved, that are supplying the weapons. You know, where'd the UAE get the weapons from? They get them from China, right? They probably got some from the United States, I'm sure. You know, who are these? Who are the allies that are supplying all of these weapons? That are supplying all of these, you know, machines of death? It's always the West. Behind every major conflict, it's always a like resistance group versus some proxy of the West, basically. It never fails. The synopsis is always the same.
Nathaniel encountered Israeli settlers on the rampage, backed up by the Israeli military in the Palestinian town of Turmus Aya. Ryan Coles has been following this story and spoke with Nathaniel about what he saw.
Jasper Nathaniel was there to document the kind of Israeli settler violence that has become routine in the occupied West Bank. The difference this time was that he caught it all on camera. The American journalist was accompanying Palestinian farmers during their annual olive harvest. He says Israeli soldiers directed them to take a route that led them directly into a settler ambush. As they were getting chased, Nathaniel captured the moment one of these Israeli settlers attacked an elderly Palestinian woman, repeatedly bludgeoning her, even as she lay on the ground, defenseless.
What that image doesn't capture is just how chaotic this scene behind that was. We saw him knock her unconscious, and then by the time we caught up to them, he was standing over her, and he had already struck her several more times. I remember then thinking, this is the ugly face of what the state of Israel has become. Nobody is safe from the settlers. They can steal land, they can steal homes, they can beat people, they can kill people.
Across the occupied West Bank.
So I saw that video, right? And then like the commenters were like, why doesn't the guy get out of the car and like fight the settler guy, right? The military's like right there. The IDF is literally like probably like 100 yards away, if that far. It's a death sentence. Instantly he would be another casualty. That's why people are helpless against settler violence in the West Bank, because their violence is backed up with the violence of the IDF, who will guarantee to take that shot. They are guaranteed to take that shot.
Israeli authorities have tightened the screws on journalists. They face harassment, arrest, violence, and restrictions on their movements. Given this was how an American journalist was treated, one can imagine what the reality is like for Palestinians. Nathaniel says that what happened in the days after demonstrates a pattern, Initially, the Israelis do some damage control, followed by impunity for the settlers involved.
Always.
After I caught that incident on camera and it was seen by a lot of people around the world, the next day they had a peaceful harvest and the soldiers were there protecting the farmers. It was very clear that it was a PR crisis that they were trying to solve.
Of course.
In fact, the soldiers told me as much, that it made them look very bad and they were unhappy about it. And then the next day, they were kicking journalists and activists out of the olive fields.
Of course,
getting rid of people who can document it, just like
one
they
day
have
of good
done in
PR,
Gaza, where they've
fuck
been
'em after
systematically
that.
killing
Exactly.
journalists. And I think you don't have to be a genius to trace those events.
We've seen this playbook before. The Israeli military trying to save face after it gets caught out, before going back to business as usual. What set this attack apart? There was an American journalist there to report on it, forcing the Israeli authorities to own up to it.
Thanks, Ryan. In the nearly 20 years that the Listening Post has been reporting on the global media, no news and information landscape has been transformed as profoundly as India's has. Reporting on the world's most...
I got other stories I want to get to, so I'm just going to skip to the end and see what they talk about here.
Repeatedly violated. The U.S. president has been exporting... And finally, ever since Donald Trump announced his ceasefire agreement in Gaza, which the Israelis have repeatedly violated, the U.S. president has been exporting envoys and cabinet members to Israel to make sure that things are going according to plan. It's a practice that both Americans and Israelis have described as babysitting. Vice President J.D. Vance was in Israel on Tuesday. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Thursday. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are constantly in and out, all to make sure that Benjamin Netanyahu sticks to the terms of the U.S. brokered deal. That's led to some fun takes on X, wondering which Republican might be next up on the babysitting list. Could it be RFK Jr.? And there was this cartoon from the Israeli paper Haaretz, where the American babysitters tell Netanyahu he can play with his toy tanks and bombers, quote, a little bit more, but then it's straight to bed. It is such an odd story that when you boil it down, satirize it, says so much about the relationship between Washington and Tel Aviv. With such a precarious ceasefire hanging over the people of Gaza, their fate is being decided by outsiders. And a White House that has to strong-arm Netanyahu not to blow up this deal and go back to his genocidal ways.
I mean, has he really stopped? No. What is he? What's he doing right now? Yeah, we already covered this. I think. Did I cover this? What was the story over here? No, I didn't cover this. Or did I? I don't remember now. Oh yeah, protect Gaza. Yeah. We need an international mission to protect Gaza. Of course. Meanwhile, here's Sky News with the plan for a new Gaza and the 4 militias backed by Israel to defeat Hamas.
Israel is backing 4 Palestinian militia groups to fight Hamas in Gaza, and Sky News has verified it. Here's what we know. This is one of the new groups. Sky News has obtained footage of them, which we've used to reveal their location for the first time. Their leader told Sky News that all 4 groups are part of a coordinated project to remove Hamas from power, regardless of the ceasefire. Under the terms of the ceasefire, Israel...
I said it before. Say it again. What the U.S. does on a global scale, Israel does on a local scale here with their neighbors. It never ceases to amaze me.
Israel has withdrawn its troops to the area east of this yellow line. All 4 militias are operating within this area. And these are the men that lead them. One of these men, Hossam al-Astal, told Sky News that the four militias are part of a joint project to remove Hamas from power, a project he repeatedly called the New Gaza.
صحيح في اتفاق لانه بحكي لك احنا اليوم بشكل رسمي احنا مش ميليشيات زي ما هم بيحكوا او عصابات او مرتزقه احنا اليوم بشكل رسمي
We have an official project, me, Abu Shabab, Halas, and Al-Mansi. We are the new we are all for the new Gaza. Soon we will achieve full control of the Gaza Strip, and we will gather under one umbrella.
Al-Astal's headquarters are situated on a military road that runs along the Yellow Line, less than 700 meters from the nearest IDF outpost.
أنا قاعد ومرتاح لأنه ما في عندنا سامع الجيش يعني ممكن طالعين دوريات إشي إحنا ما لنا فيه ولا هم
don't engage us.
الحين في جيش بس إحنا ما يعني في منطقة متفق عليها خلال المنصة إنه هي خضراء ما في عندنا.
Footage shared with Sky News shows members of the militia armed with Kalashnikov rifles. One of their vehicles appears to have Israeli writing on the side, which has been partially scratched out.
إحنا بنشتريها منهم نعرفهم وكثير اشترينا من سلاح حماس نفسه. هي بس السيارات اللي احنا بنجيبها من برا التسهيلات يعني في حماس نفسه هي بس السنة بنشتريها منهم نعرفهم وكثير.
We've acquired large quantities of Hamas arms through the black market.
من سلاح حماس نفسه هي بس
only vehicles are brought in from the
السيارات اللي
outside.
احنا بنجيبها من برا التسهيلات يعني في
what we get from abroad what we get from abroad are logistical supplies like ammunition and the like.
حاجات يعني خلينا نقول لك الذخيرة وحاجات زي هيك.
The group also receives weekly deliveries of everyday items needed to support civilians living at the camp, items in short supply in the rest of Gaza.
يعني تقريبا
We currently provide basic medical and education.
الأطفال صارت تعرف
Children know that apples and bananas and food and drinks and chips and so on.
بالعكس في المنطقة
By contrast, the other area in the tents you find kids age 5, 10, or even 15-year-olds.
10 سنوات 15 سنة ما بيعرف غير التكييف.
Knows nothing but surviving on little more than lentils or pasta.
يروح يجيب عدس يجيب معكرونة هاي الأكل بأكلوه.
He says these supplies come in via weekly deliveries. We can see the same truck in satellite imagery of the camp. The camp is strategically located along a highly fortified military road that leads directly to the Kerem Shalom border crossing.
We go and bring supplies from Kerem Shalom, and we can protect ourselves when we go there. What the? Organized coordination, of course, yes, with the military. This is correct.
Further south, sitting along the same route from the border, is the base of Gaza's most influential anti-Hamas militia, led by Yasser Abu Shabab. A senior commander in the militia told Sky News that they have between 500 and 700 fighters, and that Israel was allowing them to smuggle in guns, cash, and vehicles. Sky News has also confirmed that 2 other militias, operating in the north of Gaza, are receiving supplies from Israel. This video, filmed by a member of Ashraf al-Mansi's militia, shows a car loaded with supplies driving towards their base. Sky News confirmed that this road leads from an Israeli base or from the Erez border crossing with Israel. A member of the Halas militia, east of Gaza City, said that coordination with the IDF is done indirectly through the DCO, a body set up under the Oslo Peace Accords. The DCO is part of Israel's defense ministry, but it also includes officials from the Palestinian Authority, Palestine's internationally recognized government based in the West Bank. This fits with what we were told by Al-Astal, by an Israeli soldier, and by a senior commander in Yasser Abu Shabab's militia, that coordination with the military is managed indirectly and that the Palestinian Authority plays a key role. 2 militia leaders, Rami Halas and Hossam al-Astal, claim to be current or former employees of the Palestinian Authority's security services. The Palestinian Authority did not respond to Sky's questions, but has previously denied having any relationship to these militias.
واضح لا يسمح لها أن تكون يعني بالاعتراف بأي شيء مباشر. بتعرف السلطة حتى في عندي من المجموعة تبعي يعني ناس هم موظفين في السلطة لغاية اليوم.
People in my group still to this day who are part of the Palestinian Authority.
Also receiving support from outside powers.
فاليوم في دول عربية كتير ودول أوروبية ودول أجنبية غربية هي بتتعاون معانا بس بشكل يعني غير مباشر، او خلينا اقول لك سر شويه لغايه ما الامور تستتب، ولكن كلهم بيدعموا فكره عدم عوده حماس للحكم.
The IDF declined to comment on these findings. Hamas, the Palestinian Authority, and COGAT, the Israeli agency which manages the Israel-Gaza border, did not respond to our requests for comment.
Yeah, seen some decent reporting coming out of Sky News. I'm curious how that's happening, but I don't know. Hey, I already watched this. Yeah, here. What time is it? I don't have time for that. Oh, okay. I'm tired. All right. I'm gonna call it here, guys. All right, everybody have a good night. We will watch this most likely tomorrow. What's today? Today's Saturday? It is Saturday. Yeah. We'll watch this tomorrow. Good night. Good night, Daphne. Thank you. Thank you, everybody that came by, everybody that's here. Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a good weekend and a good night. All right. I'll see you later.